Hi, and welcome back to the Lavender Learning Channel. My name is Jane, and I'm an Australian educator and mum. And today we're talking about 5 important literacy skills that you can be developing with your child in preparation for them starting school. This is part of a whole school readiness suite that I'm working on to help parents who have children who are starting school to get those children prepared and feel a bit more confident about their readiness to enter the school environment. Now, when it comes to literacy skills, there are so many that your child will benefit from having, and I found it quite tricky today to select 5 to talk about here, so I may well do some more presentations like this in the coming months. But here are 5 basic things which will be great foundational skills and a way to start with your child in developing literacy skills in preparation for school. Now, if you're listening online, you won't be able to see the slides, and you're very welcome to see these on the YouTube channel. If you're watching online, then thank you, and I hope that the visuals help you keep track and give some examples of what I'm speaking about today. The first skill is that the child should be able to recognise their own name. That might seem fairly basic, but it is really important when they enter an environment where things will be labelled with their name, and they'll need to be able to get their own belongings together and perhaps recognise their own worksheets and those sorts of things, that they recognise their name, and not just in the font that your handwriting might be in, but in a number of different fonts, particularly the educational font that they'll be learning in their classroom. On the YouTube version of this presentation, you'll see there that I've put some names: Andy, Emma, Freya, George, and Jayam, as well as those names down the bottom again in capitals. I've put them in all different fonts to demonstrate just how varied a name can look depending on the type of font that the teacher might be using. Now, you have to be mindful that in a lot of schools, a child might have their main classroom teacher, perhaps an assistant in the classroom, maybe they might be exposed to the principal or some presentations up on slideshows and that sort of thing, on assemblies. They may have a teacher coming in who teaches them a language or sport or science or other specialist skills. And in those cases, those different teachers may write differently, or they may use different fonts on their presentations. And it's just important that your child recognises the way that their name may look in many different fonts. Now, an easy activity to help with this is to sit down on your computer with them and type their name, and then have a go at changing it into different fonts and seeing how it looks. I put their names all in capitals at the bottom of the slide here, just to show you what that looks like. It's really best practice for children to be using a capital letter just for the first letter of their name. It's a proper noun. A name is a proper noun, and therefore the first letter should be capitalised. Occasionally, people will write in all caps, which I guess in our day and age is sort of seen as shouting, but it is the way that some people have learned to write, and particularly people who may have grown up labelling things in that way, with capitals. So just be mindful and maybe teach your child how to recognise their name in all caps as well. Following on from that, then, the second tip is that the child should know how to write their name. Now, it's really important that they learn to write their name with correct letter formation. If you're not sure what that looks like, I think I may put up a video just showing how to form the letters in the way that we use that font in my state of Queensland in Australia. You'll be able to find lots of demonstrations and even apps for your phone or iPad, which can show your child where to start when they're forming a letter and how to form their shapes. We use a program called Casey the Caterpillar in Australia quite a lot, and that has a story that goes along with how the shapes are formed, gum nuts and sticks and those sorts of things, and it helps children connect some meaning to the shapes that they're making. If I just pick a pen here and just show you on my screen, a child who is learning to write for the first time, their name, as I said before, might be Andy. So he might learn to do straight lines across, and then like this, excuse my thinking tongue sticking out, or something like that, right? We want to be teaching Andy that he needs to be forming the letters, like joining at the top, starting at the top. We don't go back up. No, we come straight down, cross, over, and then the second one we come down and we don't lift our pen. Third one, some places will come straight down here. Some might put a kick on it and teach an entry or an exit. And the Y, we come up and we go down and we drop it below the line. That's just an example with that name, Andy. You could teach it with many other things. What we don't want is where we see children forming the letters with lots of lifting of the pencil. For example, a child who has an E in their name might do something like that. Now that's 4 lifts of the pencil. It's a bit inefficient. And I've actually formed that very close to the way that we would normally, in the order that we would normally write that letter. But if you can imagine a child who maybe just looks at what the letter E looks like, they might do a circle and a stick like that. I see that as a letter E quite often. Now, the thing is, when that child then gets to school and starts to learn handwriting, they have to unlearn some of those habits that they've developed in forming letters in the wrong way. So make sure your child learns to write their name with a capital letter only for the first letter, and have a look at how they should be forming their letters and practice doing that as well. Some of the great apps that I use, there's one in Australia called Red Writing, and it teaches the child where to put their finger or their pencil, and they must follow a set of lines, a set of dots to complete the formation of the letter in the correct order in order to get, to be successful in getting a little sticker or a little clap or whatever the app gives them. And so they have to form it the right way many times to practice that, rather than just drawing something that looks like their name. It's very exciting when your child first writes something that resembles their name, and look, letter-like symbols and making letter-like symbols on paper is a pre-writing skill, and so that is important. But when we're talking specifically about learning to write their own name, this is something that they're going to be writing for the rest of their lives, so it's important that they learn to write it properly and efficiently, lifting their pencil as few times as possible. We don't want to be constantly lifting our hand. And I know I see adults who write very slowly because their letter formation is quite inefficient. So we're not teaching children to write in this presentation. I'm just talking about their name. If you wanted to start doing letter-like formations with them or beginning early writing, then if the letters are starting to resemble real letters and you're giving them the name of real alphabet letters, then make sure that they are being formed properly if you can, and that will help your child avoid frustration down the track. Speaking of alphabet letters, alphabet recognition is an important skill. It's the name that we give to the visual letter, and then teachers will build on that to teach your child about the phonetics associated with those alphabet letters. And lots of fun songs and videos, and there are shows on TV that deal with the alphabet as well. All of those things will be really helpful and give your child a great head start as they head into school. So, yeah, definitely work on alphabet recognition. If you're not 100% sure of which sounds are connected with each alphabet letter, then maybe don't do too much on that, just in case it's confusing to the child. Watch some videos perhaps so that you do know what you're teaching there. But yeah, first step is just to know the names of the letters. That's a great start. The next thing that you can be doing with your child is using environmental print. And when I say environmental print, it's what it sounds like. It's the use of words in your child's environment. And recognizing that there are words in their environment which have meaning and which stay constant is an important understanding for young children. It's sort of the pre-reading skill, and we work out what the words mean based on the context that they're used in. So the picture that I have on the slide here, if you've got an audio, you're listening to the audio podcast, then the picture has a door at a store open with a sign hanging on the door which has the letters open on it, for open, O-P-E-N. Now, that's one example. Push and pull, entry, exit, those kind of signs are things that children will see in their environment quite a lot. So you can be looking at those with them. They might see street signs and start to recognize those, and you can talk about what they mean. Perhaps it's the name of a shop, familiar stores or takeaway places that they might eat, or the name of their sibling's school, or the name of their own early childhood centre, or whatever it might be. All of those words in their environment, you can be explaining to them and discussing with them. And then they get the idea that that stop sign there, that red sign, has the word stop on it. And that means my car has to stop at the line there. And so just getting that understanding that words carry meaning and that words are all around us. Really helpful and fairly simple thing that you can be doing with your child. And finally, remembering songs and rhymes. Understanding and remembering the meaning of songs and the sequence of them is a really great skill for early comprehension, and also helps children develop the repetitive nature of language. Rhyming is an important skill in being able to hear patterns in words. So those early childhood rhymes where like there might be A, B patterns where there's one line that rhymes with another line, and then one other line rhymes with another one. Little Miss Muffet sat on her tuffet, eating her curds and whey. Along came a spider who sat down beside her and frightened Miss Muffet away. Those kind of rhymes. They teach your child to listen out for the sounds, and it's the reason it sounds so nice to our ear and has that rhythm is because of the way that it's put together. And has a rhyme, but also it has a meaning, and we can kind of imagine what the child would look like. So lots of songs, and you can find plenty of those on YouTube, or you might be familiar with some from your own childhood. I know that the playgroups that I took my children to had many of the same songs from week to week. We'd sing them, and you'd see the child develop from the beginning of their journey in playgroup, where they might just listen to the sounds that were being spoken and sung around them, and then as they got a little bit older, they'd say some words, and then by the time they were nearly ready to go to school, they could recite them word for word without any support, because they'd been practicing and remembering and recognizing rhyme. So that's a really fun way to develop an early literacy, some early literacy skills around repetition, memory, consistency of texts, the meaning, and also that ability to hear rhyme in words. So there we have it. 5 important literacy skills to help your child. Thank you so much. I hope that's helpful. And if you do have a child starting school soon, please check out my other videos on school readiness. And if you like this video and you want to see more educational content from me, please subscribe to the channel, hit the notification button so that you can remain updated when I put up new videos. If you have specific educational questions that you'd like me to answer, please comment on the video or send me an email to jane@lavenderlearning.com.au. If you have older children who are already at school, I also offer some homework support, and I'm happy to answer questions through live videos or by email, and I can make a video to help your child with a homework question. All of that's totally free of charge. It's just a way that I can help more children, because my face-to-face tutoring business is completely booked out at the moment, and so I'm looking for ways to help people if I can, and I'd love to help you. So that's probably for elementary or primary school students mostly. If you do have an older child who's just struggling with some study skills or unsure of how to tackle a question in an assignment, I can help with that sort of thing as well. So thank you so much for sticking with this video so far, or if you're listening on the audio podcast, thank you for that too. And look out for me all over the web at Lavender Learning. Thanks very much. Bye.